Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SC Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SC Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SC Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SC Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SC Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SC Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo lunes. Money work.
let's rock one last time and we get to it.
Yeah, I know.
What? We might as well get to it, man. I just realized we're 5 minutes in. What's good, everybody? Welcome to another Freestyle Sunday. Super excited for everybody that's tuned in today. We got a show for you, man. It's something very different and unique. Very excited for our guests for tonight. I think anybody that's part of the motorcycling community are gonna find some serious value into this. It's not just going hard on the paint at 200 miles an hour. It's not just moto vlogging. It's not just your typical thing. This is a very talented individual that we have on tonight that has a specific set of skill that can find you in your... Wait a minute. That's the movie. Wait a minute. Yeah, he has a specific set of skill that I think any one of us are going to be very excited to talk about a little bit tonight. This guy specialized in doing OEM style carbon fiber painting, guys. So very, very excited to kind of show you some of his work and talk with Dave as well. But before we do any of that stuff, guys, we're gonna do what we do best. We're gonna give a nice little shout out to the sponsors of the stream. That's how we pay the bills, so don't take it personal. We gotta take care of business no matter what. As you guys know, Motivation USA is a place where I shop for all my parts. I mean, shopping is a very strong word. They're a sponsor of the channel. They provide me most of the stuff from my bikes and give you an awesome link for you to shop for your bike or any other motorcycle that you ride, whether you're getting exhaust, sliders, tools, merch, or whatever it is that you're interested in. This is the place you're gonna wanna shop. Personally, I know I ride a Ducati, but we're talking about if you ride an S1000RR, an Aprilia, whatever it may be, these guys are where you're gonna wanna go if you wanna get parts and stuff. Easy place to shop, easy place for you to find things. And again, I don't sell anything on the channel. I don't market anything for you to buy, but if you want to support the stream, the podcast, you want to support me and the channel, you want to hit the link in the description. That's how we're going to keep this going nice and strong and have guests and everything else. All right. That's how we do it. MotivationUSA.com. Get it and support the channel and support the brand that support us as well, guys. Really, really dope. And of course, I got to talk about Hard Knocks Coffee. We'll make it nice and brief, guys. This company is actually owned by a rider himself. They provide coffee for MotoGP, so really, really cool. If you want to buy coffee for friends, family, or even as a gift, you can get candles, stickers, and all kind of stuff. But Hard Knocks Coffee is a supporter of the channel, guys. Whenever you shop with these brands, they help us create something bigger and better, and for us to be able to hang out for 2 hours on a Sunday night without any repercussions. So definitely appreciate everybody that hit those links. I know the past 2 months have been pretty good. I've seen the numbers. So thank you. Truly, truly appreciate it. But now we're going to do my favorite part of the damn stream. I know most people are probably saying, yeah, it's probably my favorite part too. Is where we kind of meet and greet pretty much everyone that's tuned in to take part of this Sunday night and chill with us. We're gonna populate the screen with your greetings and just say what's up to everybody, man. So if you have any questions and comments in that time frame, guys, this would be the time you want to throw it up, because I'm gonna be highlighting some of the chat. What's good with everybody, by the way? How's your weekend going? Hopefully well, hopefully well. There we go. All right, we have Saison in the building. Good evening, peeps. It's the Butter Pekin Rican in the house. Bike shout out to Mike for conducting these, as I am learning and taking away lots of information from these live streams. Yeah, man. He just dropped the video. Saison dropped a video about him riding a V4S for the first time. So that's pretty cool. You guys should definitely check him out. Life with Anna Banana B's in the building. Always great to have my wifey supporting. And we have Ebe in the building. You guys know the name. He's a usual suspect, man. So really, really dope to see him. I know a lot of people are coming on as we're going through the night. Governor D Nice, what's good, bike fam? Randy's Reality, really, really cool guys. You definitely want to check him out. By the way, Dave and I were talking prior to the stream, and he definitely mentioned Randy. He's a dope dude. So it's great to see how small our industry is and how we all network with one another, and people, take other people in and stuff. So that was really cool. We man, audio sounds good to me on my end. All right, cool. Are you guys not hearing me very clear? Let me know. I'm doing a lot of changes, guys, by the way. Heads up, we actually have some new equipment coming. I just haven't set this up yet. I got a new pro mic coming up, and a lot of really cool things, a lot of upgrades. Power motos in the building. Guys, let me know if my audio sounds good. By the way, we have a total of 14 people currently watching. Thumbs up says 9. What's good? I'm not charging for those. Solo Rider 82, what's up, man? Let's see what we got. 5 up. What's up, man? Oh, man, we have Mike. It's always funny when I say Mike because I'm like, oh, it's me. Don Main, what's good? Just stopping by. I'm busy editing. Yeah, man, I appreciate you tuning in for a little bit, but you might want to stick around for a bit, man, because this is going to be really, really cool. Let's see what else we got here. We have Jock in the Box. Long Island Ducati 1199S. Guys, if you're new, you're watching, definitely hit that thumbs up. Also, if you're new here, you definitely want to subscribe, guys. So without further ado, man, let's get to it and bring on man, we're gonna bring on Dave, guys. Very, very interesting individual. I'll let him walk through and tell you why is he here today and what we're gonna be talking about. What's good? My laptop's getting so many chimes, so many alerts. What's up with that? It's all good. Here we go. Dave, welcome to the stream, brother.
What's happening, Mike?
Let's see what we got here. Hold on one second. Thought I swapped you for a second. There we go. What's up, man?
What's up, Mike?
Nothing, man. Dude, it is a pleasure to actually have you on the stream, man. By the way, guys, for those of you that are unaware, Dave is the gentleman that did that sick wheelie on the S1000RR, and it's a 2012 or 2013 model. 2012, and that's a very it's a bit of a rowdy bike, right? Would you say it's like one of those bikes that you have to really know what you're doing in order to kind of tame it a little bit?
Kind of. Basically, I've done a little bit of engine work to it recently, and I deleted a lot of the electronics off the bike, so it's a little bit of a handful, especially riding wheelies on it. I never do it, but once in a while, you know.
I'm going to tell you right now, seeing that wheelie really is, I mean, it's something that's been on the back burner for a little bit, like, hey, man, I'm going to get my wheelie game up, and I just want it. And just being in that space and seeing you, it was just so natural that you just ripped one off. And I'm like, damn, man, and I was recording, and you didn't even know I was recording. Usually people tend to do things when you're actually out riding and you know you're recording, they do things. I guess I'm usually like having things rolling as we're going. So, and I was just like completely fluent, man.
No, I had no idea the camera was on. I just figured there was a gap in front of us, so I would do it.
Yeah, man. And the funny thing is, both you and I share similar sentiment. Like, we ride the back when we're in these events and stuff like that. I remember we spoke about it a little bit while we were on the phone about you chilling in the back and stuff like that. And I share the same thing. And I'm like, oh, I'll just stay in the back because there's a lot of action. And personally, I'm probably not one of those super fast boys. So
I like staying in the back because bad things happen in the front.
Sometimes.
I could stay in the front, but I choose to be in the back.
You know what? Before we even get any further, let me roll that wheelie further. I just wanted to see, guys. This was, I know. Some people are probably like, yeah, it was just a wheelie, but you know what it is. Listen, man, I'm like a kid. It was still really cool, and I was just as excited when he did it, and I'm still as excited when I watch it now. So calm yourself down. Don't be like, oh, he's just dropping a wheelie. Calm down. Let's see here. I have this all set up properly today. Really nice, actually. Yes. So good.
Wow, that was dope.
Yo, I find myself fangirling all the time when I'm riding with people now, which is kind of weird, because what's funny is that right after it happens, I'm like, man, I probably shouldn't have that reaction on camera. That's kind of like nerdy. I remember meeting Aaron Cole, and I did something very similar. Like, I got super excited, and when I watch it now, I'm like, yeah, come on, man. So it's all good. Natural reaction, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for some of the people that don't know you, man, and you're a guy that plays the background a lot, and you're kind of very low key when it comes to things. I mean, I've seen you in events and stuff like that. I usually rock with Ebe sometimes, and then, you know, you're always riding, but it's always very low key. But what people tend to not know about you is your special talent, I'd say skill that you've acquired over years and years, which is painting carbon fiber, man. I mean, kind of walk us through that. How long you've been doing it, and you know, reaching the point that you are now, which is almost a master. I would say almost a master in it, because it looks OEM in my opinion.
I would have to say it's probably been about a decade since I started painting carbon. I don't predominantly do carbon. It just seems to be what everybody likes, because it's something different that you don't often see. Normally somebody buys an expensive carbon part, they don't want to add to the cost and have it painted, but the people that do, when you do it, it adds a lot to the look. But I mainly just do regular, like, you know, paint work, automotive, like restorations, motorcycle work, custom paint work. I do all sorts of stuff, but the carbon stuff is really neat, because you can make a carbon part look like an OEM part, and then when you really look at the details in it, you're like, oh crap, this is a carbon part that's been painted. If you walked by the bike, you might not notice it, but when you look at it, you realize it's a painted carbon part, you know? It's kind of different.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of the industry to be in, right? Because you have OEM parts are very expensive, carbon fiber parts are very expensive, and I think what tends to happen, a lot of people buy carbon and they just like putting raw carbon, either if it's gloss or matte or something like that. And to me, what I think is interesting, when you have carbon, which is really dope, everyone loves carbon, including myself, but once you step a couple of feet away from it, it looks black.
It does.
Until you get really close and you're really admiring the bike or something like that, you start seeing the details. But what I think you do, which is really cool, you add another layer into it. You know, you can make the bike look OEM and still have it be very lightweight, and then a little bit of carbon seamlessly, which is really dope.
Yeah, it's like an OEM plus look. Like, if you walked by the bike and you didn't know much about bikes, or you didn't really look at the details, you wouldn't know it was carbon on the bike. But then when you add the paintwork to it, it looks more stock, but it adds another level to the bike, you know?
You know what? I'm just going to quickly pull this up too. I just want people to kind of see this as well. Us talking about it is one thing, but guys, seeing the actual work itself, it's a whole other story here. Let's see here. This is one of the pieces that I saw that I really thought that was really, really dope. It's a hood. But you know what? Let's just do the R1 parts. Let's do that for start. Let's take a look.
You're gonna laugh. Those aren't R1 parts.
Really?
Those are R3 parts. That was a bike build.
Oh, that was the R3
prize
that you guys did. I thought it was an. Oh, you know what it is? You guys did the R1 theme on there.
Yes, I did that to make it. Ebe wanted that bike to the second place prize to look like the R1M that he was giving away. That's also straight out of the gun, just sprayed with clear. I could rub my finger on it and mess up the clear on it. That's not buffed, sanded, nothing. That's straight out of the gun.
Wow, that's really, really impressive, man. Just seeing that just like that. And the funny thing is, I thought it was an R1 just because, you know, of the color scheme, which, you know, worked perfect because that was what you guys were going for. And just to have that look, and it fooled me because I'm like, oh yeah, it was solely an R1. So really, how long does it take to do something like that?
I think I had about a week in that bike. It doesn't take a crazy long time. Prepping all the parts is the part that takes the longest.
Do you find yourself just basically, so are you taking an OEM part to do that on you? I'm assuming that you do a primer, like you sand it down, prime it, and prep it, right?
I will actually use a sealer instead of a primer. Unless there's damage, you don't need to use any form of primer on stuff.
And that's how you know I don't know jack about painting.
Yeah, common misconception.
Well, to that, I would say, if I were to speak about like actually painting, I guess it's still the same premise. It's not priming. You do like a base coat of white paint. I'm talking about like either oil or acrylic paint, but that's more like painting.
Yeah.
But since the pieces were already perfectly fine, I'm assuming you just you just went right over.
Yep. I sanded them and sealed them, and then started masking off for all the however many colors are on that bike, 2 or 3, I can't remember.
Now, so you guys know that Dave definitely do these, not just for Ebe and stuff like that. It is his, livelihood. Don't insult the man. Don't hit him up on this stream afterwards like, hey, can you do this for me for $100? Keep in mind, he does this for a living. I'd appreciate the support. If you guys want to work with him, you could definitely reach out to him. He is on Instagram and other means. You could either email him. It's, his work is amazing. You could see it on Ebe's bikes and some other bikes we're going to be showing shortly. So just walk us through some ways that people can kind of reach out to you.
I mean, the best way really is reach out to me on Instagram if you have an Instagram account, and I can give you my personal contact info, and we can, text or call, talk about it. You can go through email. I can give you my email, and you can put it up if you want. I can text it to you now. But for right now, that's the main means of contacting me for work.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, these pieces are really, really, really cool. Just want to kind of run this also. This is going to be another clip of this guy, so what else he does. Actually, I'll play this clip.
So this is how
Also,
it looks
why are
after
people
we
not
had
liking
these
this?
carbon fiber tail section painted. This is the before, and this side is after. I think the carbon fiber looks great, and it's on the bottom as well. What do you think, Zach?
I like it. It looks really good. For any Supercross fans out there, make sure you catch the Arlington race that was just on last weekend.
Okay.
It was won by 0.02 of a second. It
Wow.
was the closest Supercross finish ever.
He's
said.
another very impressive
Wow.
guy, by the way.
What type of bike won that?
Yeah, it was a KTM.
Okay.
Started the race in 7th place.
Wow.
Beat the Honda rider by
0.2 of a second.
200.
200s. Wow. Race ECU reinstalled.
Race ECU installed. Alright, so let's see. We got fuel. We got...
That looks really, really good, man. So,
The
like I
tank
said,
cover on that bike.
it's a
The
tank
the
cover,
tank
you
cover
said?
on that bike was the best part. What is it?
You said it's a tank cover?
The tank cover on that bike was the best part of that. It matched the OEM tank cover, and if you walked by it, you would never know it was a carbon part.
So, what's interesting? Having it matched like that. I know a lot of people see this and it looks very simple. It looks like you did the color on it. You kind of like replicate an OEM color. What does it take to create the color, and how do you match a color like this? I know it has to be some kind of special process, or is there a color chip code for it, or something like that that you could use?
For bike stuff, you have to go through ColorRight, which is kind of a nightmare. All the manufacturers release all their color information to ColorRight, or to the paint manufacturer. Like I use PPG paint materials, and I just go to my paint supplier and tell them this is the color code. I bring a part with me to make sure it's the correct variant, so everything matches. And a lot of that actually is on my paint supplier right now. I haven't purchased a mix bank yet. Like I have a legit booth. I have everything. I just haven't bought a mix bank because it's like probably a $30,000 investment to make color.
So you pretty much have to mix it on your own too, right?
Yeah. Before I spray, I mix it on my own.
The reason I was asking that is because just kind of walk through the steps of what it takes, because I know a lot of people see the colors and the design. What about look-wise? I know some people have a general idea. How do you do that process? Because you're basically in a different state. Let's say somebody had an idea. I'm assuming they have to ship you the part, but how do you do the design? Or is it like something that's photoshopped and they send it to you? Or, walk us through that.
Really, when people reach out and they give me a basic idea of what they want, I have them send me the part if they decide to do the job. I will have them send an OEM part along with it so I can match their color. And I will, a lot of times, if it's something kind of intricate, I will line it out with fine line tape, just have it masked off and send it to them and ask for like a real quick approval before I keep going, because it's a nightmare if you paint something and they don't like it. So I always just ask them to, approve it before I move forward. But I typically understand what people want.
Wait, you send the part back to them and then they send it back to you again?
No, I'll just send them a quick photo of it and have them approve of it.
But so nobody has actually given you a specific design that they want. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, typically it's either like they give me the exact idea they want, or give me free reign to do what I want a lot of times, or I match a factory part. And if I'm matching a factory part, it's pretty cut and dry. There's not a whole lot in question,
Okay. So, the reason why I was asking, I thought it was, have you ever seen any of the car shows or where they do like special painting? They do like a Photoshop layout of the actual piece, the whole design. I guess it's like a precursor to actually spending money on going into paint and then spraying it, finding out, hey, I don't really like the style. You do a whole design layout, and then, you send like a PDF, like a digital version of it so they could see it. And then from there,
that's called a rendering.
Yeah,
that's what everybody in the automotive community calls it, is a rendering. But I don't have anybody to do renderings for me yet. If anybody on here is good at drawing, I'm looking to hire somebody to do that for basically more automotive builds.
Okay.
But a basic rendering's $10,000 to do a car.
Okay.
So it's big money.
Yeah, because I'm thinking to myself, just like that, like you got a render first or some kind of rough sketch, and then you went on by it. So that's kind of cool. So not only you just paint, you have a creative streak also now. Well, you ride, and you love motorcycles as well, so you have a very good idea on how to do a look that's gonna be pleasing to most people.
Yes. Yeah. I try to.
So what do you ride, man, right now? What do you currently ride?
I have my 2012 S1000 that I've owned since it was new. I don't ever intend on getting rid of it. I really like that bike. I'm not bored with it. I keep changing stuff on it to keep myself interested in it. My next bike is not going to be another sport bike. It's going to be a sport touring bike, like a cruiser. He's trying to talk me into a GS, which I'm kind of open to. I also have a Harley that I don't ever ride. It sits in my garage, collects dust.
Well, I'm going to tell you now, like I mentioned before, I don't know, man. These bikes are slowly surprising pretty much everyone, I guess, once you start getting used to speeding all the time and stuff. Like I rode 5-Up's Pikes Peak, and that bike was probably one of the best bikes I've ridden in a long time, surprisingly.
You're riding a V4 powered bike that can go anywhere. What more do you want?
The funny thing is, it didn't feel too heavy though. The bike felt really balanced, and even though the whole info cluster was pretty big, the bodywork was big, but it still felt pretty comfortable when you got on it. So that's that might be a good look though. But you're gonna keep the BMW.
Yeah, but can you have too many bikes?
Absolutely not.
I have a 2-car attached garage at my house and 3,200 square foot of shop space. If I could afford 50 motorcycles, I would have 50 bikes.
I think everybody's gonna share that exact sentiment. By the way, do you paint? Do you have a booth in your own space, or you have like a shop you go to?
No, my shop is actually in my backyard. I built a new shop in 2018, and I have my booth, and I'm all set up in my backyard to do it.
Wow. So what does something like that cost?
I think right now I'm just over $100,000 invested into it. I did it all out of pocket too, which was, I don't know if a smart idea or not, but I did it all out of pocket with no loan.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't ask that just to be in your business. I really want people to get a general idea when you're doing something out of passion, something that you love doing. And again, you could see the work, you could see proof of concept and stuff like that. and coming out of pocket spending that kind of money for something, you know, again, guys, I don't want this to be, don't insult the guy, you know, if you're serious and you really want to get some work done, consider that, you know. When was the last time you pulled 100 grand to get something off the ground? It's not a very common thing, so that's dope, man.
Yeah, it was a little bit nerve-wracking when I did that, because a year prior I put a lot of money into purchasing my house and rehabbing my house, and then the following summer I finished my house November 11th of 17, and in May the following year in 18 I was breaking ground for my new shop. So like I was just burning money those two, essentially 1 year. I burnt through a lot of my cash.
So what I'm guessing is that you going to the events, because I bumped into you twice in two events, right? You were out in Nashville too, right? Yeah, two events.
Nashville and Detroit.
Yeah, both Nashville and Detroit. So I'm assuming similar to Evan, going to these events it's a nice way to kind of network with people and then show them your work and stuff like that, right?
It's a great opportunity to network. I typically look at it more as a vacation than a business opportunity. Mm-hmm. I'm more excited to meet people, like, you know, meeting you, Adam, Randy, meeting all these people. That's the most fun about being into motorcycles. Everybody has the same common interest, and that's the most exciting part. Like, it would be cool to get work out of going on these trips, but I'm more concerned of enjoying the ride, enjoying the people, the food, the sights. That's more what I'm actually focused on, rather than networking in the business from a business standpoint.
Yeah, you know what's funny? For me, when I first started going to all of the events, I'm like, oh, it's a great opportunity to get footage, to ride bikes and stuff like that. And I've only been to, was it 3 or 4 so far? And I feel like it's becoming a lot of work. And by the time I did go to Detroit, I really wanted to kind of hang out and just really, really just chill and just enjoy, you know, riding and talking with people. Like, for example, I spoke with Adam. We were talking for hours and stuff like that, just chilling. And that was probably what was one of the best part of the whole trip, just hanging out, really.
That is the best part, meeting new people and networking in that way. Like, business will come, but you're not going to have that opportunity to meet new people and network in that way. You know, that doesn't come very often. So my phone will ring tomorrow with more work, but I don't have that opportunity to meet new people and network in that way very often.
You know what's it's not weird or strange or anything like that. It's just, I bumped into you twice. I've never seen you like wear a shirt with like your branding or what you do or really talk about it. You're super low-key about things. And I just wanted to know, like, I'm assuming this is more of your style, really. Very chill, very laid back. Not really in the limelight or anything like that. I always see you kind of, it's more like very background, you know. So I'm assuming that's more like your thing, right?
Yeah, that's more my style. I'm not trying to be some known guy in the motorcycle community. If I wanted to be a known guy, I would have done that a long time ago. I've been riding since 2001 on the street, and I rode dirt bikes since I was 3 years old. So like, if I wanted to be known, I would have got into racing motocross when I was younger, and I would have stayed in road racing motorcycles when I started doing that in the mid 2000s. Yeah, being known, it doesn't really appeal to me.
I think you're probably one of the few and far in between that feels that way. I think for me, you know, it's a bit of a struggle for me, I think, for the industry, or, you know, I think I've mentioned this to you before. Like, I really want to produce content and really be involved with motorcycles. And I think it's a catch-22. If you're not somewhat known, you really can't get the other off the ground, right? You can't be like, hey, I want to do this, but nobody ever knows who you are. It's kind of a tough thing. The reason I'm kind of leaning towards this with the conversation is, how do you intend to kind of spread the good news? Because I don't think it could just be only with the project that you've done with Eve. Granted, he's huge. People do get to see them. I never knew you were the person that painted those fairings until recent. So how do you intend to kind of, you know, step out of that shell and say, hey, man, at some point you have to do some of the out of your comfort zone with people to kind of get the ball rolling?
I mean, I do some of that at meetups and stuff, but like lately I've been going to more classic car shows. Recently I took my dad's 58 Corvette that we built and finished in 2009. I drove that to a show and networked with people there. But stuff like that. I would rather do it more naturally and, than, be putting my business card or handing out t-shirts at meets or something like that. Like, it's just not my style. I think work will come to me based on the quality of work versus me handing somebody a business card and telling them how great I am.
Well, I don't think it's going to be like that where you're going to, hey, man, look at my business card. It's going to be really, really good. But while we're here, since he's super modest, we're going to take the time to actually show you guys some of this stuff. Because if I don't do it, he's too laid back. He ain't going to do it for you. Nah, I'm just kidding. I just want to make sure you guys definitely see some of this stuff. But take a look at this piece right here. I'm going to show you just a few of them here. This is a tail section, right? This is for the BMW S1000R, correct?
That's for Eve's M, actually.
That's freaking nuts, man. What about this one? Is that the same piece? Because the carbon looks matte on here.
That is on the photo on the left. Is it actually hanging in my booth, cleared? But the photo on the right is after I laid the color down, lay down all the factory decals prior to clearing it.
You know what's interesting about that? If you look at those photos, I'm gonna bring them right back up again. You can't. I don't know if the photo can tell. You know when there's paint laid on something. I mean, my only reference point here, I paint. Not like, car or motorcycle painting. I'm saying paint, like with acrylic or oil painting and stuff like that. When you touch the canvas, you could feel the transition between the paint and where the primer is, right? You can't see any of those on here, right? Or can you feel it when you touch it? Because I'm assuming when you do the clear coat, you don't feel it neither, right?
No, the whole point is to, once it's cleared, you bury that line and then you sand and buff that out in the clear. Or you can use things like inner coat clear. You can use base coat blender that's just a clear base coat. And you can sand the depth, the variation between the two lines to get rid of it. I normally do it in the clear if it's not bad. But yeah, you definitely sand and buff that line out so you don't see it or feel it when you look or touch the part.
Dude, that's really, really talent, man, right there. Just being able to do that and not being able to see it. Because I've seen some work where it's done. It's almost like when people do, how do you call it? When they do wrap it. When they wrap, what's up, Miso? When they wrap their bikes or car, anything like that, you can see the seams. Really, you can't really hide that. And even if you get painting done by someone that's not completely professional, you can feel it when you pass your hand on the paint itself. You could feel the transitioning area, and I think you can't see that on there, and that's completely OEM.
That's typically what separates somebody that's okay at something or good at something, is what you just described. And by the way, everybody, wrapping motorcycles, wrap is for Christmas presents. Not cars and bikes.
Ooh, he's taking shots at people that raps. So I'm assuming you're not a fan of people that raps their car at all, or their car or the bike.
Not into it at all. It's a gimmick, and I'm surprised that fad hasn't fallen off yet.
I mean, to its credit, I think wrapping a car seems to be a little bit more ideal because you have a lot bigger panels that are flat. When we're talking about a bike or a gas tank, wrapping sounds completely crazy to me because you'll have seams, you'll have little bubbles, or maybe it doesn't sit completely flush. So I think painting is the way to go. So
the best way that I've always described it to everybody who's tried to tell me that wrapping things is better than paint, I ask them, why do things not come from the factory wrapped then? Why do cars not come from all these big manufacturers wrapped? Or motorcycles? They come painted.
Yeah, I mean, it's a substitute. I think it's a substitute that, you know, people with somewhat of a smaller budget that can actually do and not break the bank, right? And it's temporary.
Yeah, that's the best thing about it. I guess if I had to say there's something good about wrapping a vehicle, is it's essentially temporary. If you want to change the look with a lower cost, and that's far easier to do, wrap it. You know, if you're somebody who goes out and runs from the cops in your car all the time or your bike, wrap it, because you can change it in a couple days, you know. But if you want something that's going to be nice and last, I say paint's the way to go.
Yeah, I'm going to agree on that, man. Especially if you're trying to match like an OEM feel, which is very, very difficult to do, to try to match OEM paint. Here's another bike here I want to kind of pull up real quick here. Is a Ducati that you worked on. It looks like it was a project that was in progress. Right? Is that a V4?
Yes, this is a weird one for me. A guy reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to paint his track bike, and I was like, sure. And he goes, well, let me know a time that I can drop this stuff off. And we, you know, made up a time and everything. He shows up, and he was my instructor for my road race school in 2007.
I think that's a 12.99, right? I think 12 or 11.99.
I believe that's actually 11.99.
Okay.
Steve will correct us if we're wrong.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure he's gonna say something crazy. It's like, that's the wrong Ducati. What's wrong with you?
But yeah, it was really weird having somebody who was my race instructor end up being a customer of mine, you know, 15 years later, and he walks in my shop, and I was like, what? How? For a minute we didn't realize that we knew each other, and then once we realized it, we were like, how weird is this? You know, that, you know.
I'm gonna roll this also here. I think this was really cool. This is something that's really unique that I saw that you did on a brushed aluminum tank. How did you manage to do that ghost image of Eve's name and logo on here?
I thought of that when I was freezing my butt off in Nashville. I roomed with Austin, and Austin took the bed, and I took the leather couch that was uncomfortable, and I was freezing all night. I was up thinking about what to do with that tank, and I thought if I had a sticker made after I sanded that whole tank in one direction, put a sticker on the tank in the place that I wanted, and sanded it in a different direction, it would come up with that ghosted like image like that, and that's how I came up with that.
That looks crazy insane, ridiculous. Most people's approach on something like this would be to get the sticker themselves, place the sticker on, and then not even sand it. They would probably clear coat the brushed aluminum, but you'll still get a little bit of beveling happening. But that does not look like that at all. It is ridiculous. I don't know if you guys could make this out on video, but really, really take a look at this. Absolutely brilliant, man.
That's actually the tank for the current bike build bike that I'm getting ready to paint the rest of it.
Oh, so this is a little bit of an exclusive. Look at that.
Yeah, Eve's put that out though, so that was why I sent that to you. I was like, you know, this is good. Eve's already, you know, his Patreon members and everything have seen that. And he posted a short on YouTube with it too, so it's not totally exclusive, but pretty exclusive.
Listen, I'll take it. I'll take it where I can. So here's the thing also, you don't only just paint fairings, right? What else? I know you do with the wheels as well. That's a very popular thing, and I could imagine doing wheels are just as difficult as well. I do have one here I want to roll so people could see it. Blue, I'm assuming you were doing the R1 wheels, right?
I think the ones I sent you were BMW HP wheels. I've done those for people all over the country. Everybody else that's tried to do them, I'm not going to bring up names, but I know somebody that had their wheels painted by a shop, and they painted them 3 times, finally gave up and sent them out to get powder coated because they couldn't figure out how to paint them. So as far as I know, I'm the only person that knows how to do those wheels in the United States right now.
You know what? Here's the thing. Walk me through the difference between powder coating and in painting like what you do. Well, then I want to kind of pull up that wheel. I want to show people that, because that was really, really cool looking also, man. Pretty much going through all of the clips and stuff and just pre-prepping for the stream. I'm like, damn, this thing looks really, really cool. And people often talk about powder coating or paint, but very rarely do I hear them painting the wheels. Usually powder coated, I think, right? I think it's more common.
99% of the time, wheels are powder coated. People think that powder coat is more durable than paint, but the second powder coat gets a chip on it, it can peel, and paint will just stop at the chip. So that's why I always paint wheels.
And the other thing too that I think that's really cool here. Hold on, I'm just gonna roll this back right now with the paint, and I'm just gonna pause this. Just right, it's a little blurry, but I just want to kind of pull this where it's not blurry. Give me a second here. Often people do paint jobs. They don't do the inside of the wheel. You see that where the wheel go, you don't see that, but you actually did the entire thing. That's not very common either. Even if they did powder coating, they wouldn't do inside the wheel, correct? It would just be on the outside.
No. Nope. And for a long time, I didn't either. And then I finally let my OCD get the best of me one time, and you have to clear the whole wheel, what you see when the tire's not on, and at the last second grab it, spin it as hard as you can, and clear the area. And you have to get it perfect on the first go, because you can't touch it again when the clear's wet. So it's a little bit of a pain, but it makes it look completely OEM, and nobody would ever know the difference.
Yeah, and this is exactly why I just brought this up. I've seen where people get their wheels done, but on the inside you can still see either the OEM color or the original color by you doing it that way. I don't know. Well, I'm sure you've seen the OZ wheels, right? The OZ wheels tend to be done through and through. Like, they look as if they're OEM because everything is done from, any nook and cranny is pretty much painted just like that. And that's why I was asking you the complexity of doing something like that.
Yeah, the OZ wheels actually are not painted or powder coated. They are actually anodized. Direct from OZ, so that's like a completely different process that can only be done on aluminum.
Okay. Well, but the point that I was making is that even everywhere in the wheel is done just like the blue one you just did, and that's not common. Yeah. I'm assuming, right?
That's not common. No, it's not common. Not out of a wheel that's been refinished. How I do them, it's not very common. And even for years, I didn't do them that way.
That's really dope, man. Really, really cool. And it's a very impressive skill. Like I said, you said you've been doing this like 13 years?
No, I've been doing it 20 plus years.
20.
I'm a weird story. My dad's a antique car collector, and I started doing that at a young age too, buying and selling cars even before I had my license. So I started at 13. I'm 39 now, so however long that is, 20 plus years.
Yeah, I mean, it shows. The time frame that you're doing this, it definitely shows. I mean, I'm going to pull up this one more clip that I really liked as well. I know I'm kind of highlighting a lot of those guys, but sometimes when you're talking about a work, it's easier for me to say, hey, he's really great at this, but just seeing it for yourself, it's a whole another level, really. Take a look at this. This is a car hood, a carbon fiber car hood. And it's in green. Really, really, really cool. You can't see the carbon fiber, but you could see it, right? There we go.
I painted that whole hood, and I just left the vents exposed. That's actually a Veris carbon fiber hood from Japan. That would have stayed carbon, but it was broken shipping, and I repaired it. That corner right there was broken off of it, that back corner, and I repaired the hood, and I talk the customer into just painting the hood and leaving the vents exposed.
Yeah. So the reason why I showed this, I know you guys are seeing car parts, you're also seeing motorcycle parts, and I want to know what's a little bit more challenging to do. We're talking about motorcycle stuff or car stuff, because it seems like the panels for a car would be a lot larger and a lot flatter. In terms of a bike, we're talking about, curves and vents and stuff like that are all there. So What do you prefer to work on, and what's a little bit more challenging?
Paintwork wise, motorcycles are more intricate, and if people are wanting, 3 and 4 color designs and stuff, and exposed carbon, I mean that stuff it takes time. It's labor intensive. But cars like automotive restorations, where you have to work on a car for 6 months doing the metal work before you can even start doing the body work, and then the body work has to be perfect, and you prime the whole car out and you block it for a month before it's ready for paint. Cars are definitely harder in terms of making them perfect, because you have to make sure the car is straight, that the body work isn't wavy, and that you can't see that there's any body work on it. A lot of classic cars, from the factory, everybody thinks all these muscle cars were made so perfect and they're great cars, but they were actually kind of made pretty poorly. And muscle cars that you see that have been restored are nicer than they ever were from the factory if they were done correctly. So that aspect is more challenging. But like the bike stuff, doing intricate line work and everything, that's pretty hard. They're hard in different ways, but they're rewarding in different ways also.
Just gonna quickly pull up some comments here. While you were answering, I managed to kind of take a quick look here. Solo Rider 82 mentioned here. Do you do work for people out of state? If so, how does that work?
Depending on where they're at, I've had people drive to me to have me do work. I also have people ship me parts. I mean, really, a lot of times, most of the time, because of where I'm at, people ship me stuff, and it just has to get packaged back up and sent back to them.
You're in Detroit, right? No, you're not in Detroit.
No, I'm in Cleveland.
You're in Cleveland.
Yep.
So if you have a bike, I'm assuming you're probably going to take it apart, take all your fairing apart, box them up, and then most likely you'd probably end up just shipping it, right? That'd be the most ideal way if you're not around, if you don't live in Cleveland. There was another one here that I just saw. Jins My G wrote, "Rap is amazing. You can't change. You can change the look, style, and it's great paint protection."
He is right in that regard, that it is a great form of paint protection. That is probably, in my opinion, the only benefit to rap, aside from being able to change a look much easier than paint. But it is a great paint protection.
I also have another one here from Sazon. I keep on saying Sazon. Are you ever planning to expand your business to other states and countries, or would you rather keep it local and small, and why?
I have zero intentions of expanding out of state or internationally or anything like that. I want to keep it small, so even if I hire somebody, I can control the quality of work that's being done and leaving my shop. That's my main interest and goal, is to obviously make more money, but I would like to be able to control the quality. If I have 30 employees in another state, I can't control what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I can't oversee what they're doing. So I'm going to keep it small.
So here's another thing. Just out that question about you doing international or just expanding your business, I thought this would be a great thing. It just came up, at least to me. Any precaution that you take, for example, let's do it hypothetical. I send you my fairings and stuff like that. Of course, you have a gap between it leaving me to get to you and then leaving you to come back to me. Are there any precautions taken? Let's say, for example, in between transit. Let's say something does happen, like a fairing got damaged or something like that. Who does that fall on, and how does that work? Or do you just kind of repaint it over, or how does that get handled?
Well, I've only had that happen once when it was returning to a customer. It happened with HP wheel just last December, actually. I was sending a wheel back to PJ, and it got damaged in shipping. Well, it got damaged in shipping, and it needs to be fixed. So I told him to send it back to me whenever he had an opportunity, and I refinished the wheel. and it unfortunately happens, but that's the only time I've ever had something returning to a customer that got damaged. I've had things show up damaged and had to fix them before I paint them and package them properly and ship them back and not have problems, but only one time something has left here and gotten damaged in transit.
Yeah, I thought I'd ask because I mean, it's just thought it's something that I'm sure people will get concerned about. Because personally, me, I'm a little paranoid if I'm shipping something out or I'm sending it to somebody. With my luck, with USPS or something like that, or UPS, something weird might happen. So I kind of figured that'd be a good thing to know for someone that's planning to send stuff. But you know, I'm assuming it's not something that happened very common.
No, it doesn't happen very often. The biggest thing is just making sure you package things properly.
Okay. Just gonna roll this real quick here. I just wanna show this other piece here that I thought, guys, I'm gonna show you a couple of the cars that he's done as well, which are really, really impressive. That's that wide body Supra you mentioned, right? That you worked on?
Yep. That's one of my close friends, his turbocharged S2000 with a, I believe that's a Veris front bumper from Japan that didn't fit the car at all. I thought that they were high quality parts until I received the parts and put the bumper on the car and went, oh, I have 2 weeks of reworking this whole front bumper to get it to match. That's also a carbon lip on that. That black area on the bottom is exposed carbon.
No. This was cool, man.
That's my girlfriend's Evo, actually, that I color changed, and we took down to a bare shell, and it only had 40,000 miles on it or something. It was a super low mileage car, and I stripped it down to nothing. It basically lives in our garage and doesn't get drove.
This thing is nasty, man. Really cool. That was that same Super, right? I guess in the works.
That was a top secret of Japan wide body kit that they only made 10 of in the late 90s, and then it was installed by somebody else completely wrong. I actually spent a year on that car fixing the guy that originally did the car, all of his crappy hack work, and I finished the car off in an Audi color that was a European only color at the time, called Merlin Purple. It was a absolutely gorgeous color. The owner of that car actually gave me free range to paint the car any color I wanted, and that was the color I chose.
That's wild, man. And I'm assuming that's your girl's car right there.
That's her Evo, yeah.
Nice.
That was my personal truck I owned for 15 years. I just sold it 2 weeks ago.
It's a Ford, right?
Yeah, it's just a Ranger. That's a 93 twin turbo 6-speed 1-owner Supra that I did. I just finished that car not this past April, April of 21. I finished that car.
That's really freaking cool, man. I mean, I had to kind of highlight those just so people could see the amount of work and effort that you put on working on a project like this, so people could see. I'm not saying for you to say a price or anything like that. Just kind of curious, what's something like this go for? Like you working, I guess this is more motorcycle centric. What would you say something like this would run for someone to contact you? Just a ballpark. You know what? Don't even answer that. Don't even answer that. That's just like a bad idea in itself. Guys, if you want to work, just reach out to him based on your project, and I'm sure that's the most ideal thing, I would say. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard. Like paint materials all vary. Like I just painted a new R1 60th anniversary R1 for Manny at Moto Million. The colors weren't released to color, right? So I had to have them custom made. So I couldn't really quote him on what the material cost would be. The material cost ended up being 3 times the cost of what I anticipated it to be. I got a pearl white, a red, and a like 3 ounces of a yellow and a quart kit of clear for it, and it was $750.
Wow.
So paint materials are crazy. I'm sure the guy that loves wrap is going to go, this is why wrap is better, but
Well, because it's cheaper. Cheaper doesn't always mean great, by the way.
no.
I'm gonna pull up that belly pan. I think it's the same Yamaha belly pan that I have here. Let's see here. Right, is that it?
Yes. Yep.
And that's carbon. I just realized the Yamaha. That's wild. I just realized that the Yamaha is actually it's not Tex. It's the carbon showing through.
Yep.
Holy shit,
Yep.
that's cool.
Yep. We had to make decals for that one for me to spray over it, and then I had to peel those and then clear over it. But that project came out really nice.
So that's all that. So you stenciled that out.
Yes.
Damn, that's you can't even see I can't say seam, but you know the edging of where the paint stop and start. That's just like super clean.
Take your time. That's all it is.
Nah.
The difference between an okay job and a great job is just taking your time and checking over everything that you do.
Wow, that looks great, man. Look at that.
I can't take credit for that. That whole design for that bike was Manny's idea, but I loved everything that he came up with. So,
See, that's the only thing that really kind of that gets me when you're doing this project. So is it just over a phone call? He kind of explains it so the thing is, for me, I'm the kind of person that's super visual. Like if I'm working on something, like if it's an artwork or something like that. I mean, it's not like this, but I'm just saying if I'm working on something, it has to be conveyed very clear for me to do it. So there's no, because I would be super iffy. Let's say something doesn't work out and people, receive it and it's like they didn't like it or they want me to do it over. I much rather have all the steps, like here's a hand drawing, here's like a digital, here's a proof. It's just, I mean, it came out great, it looks great, but I would be very on edge, just doing it that way.
thankfully, Manny actually photoshopped exactly what he wanted. But Manny is very intelligent and very, very savvy. He literally sent me a message in WhatsApp after we spoke briefly on the phone and said, "This is basically what I want. Can you do this?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And that's not common though. Most people aren't going to send me a perfect Photoshop of a image of a bike exactly how they want it. But he did it, and he was like critiquing his Photoshop job, and I was like, "This is perfect. This is cut and dry, exactly what you want."
Okay.
So that was kind of neat to have somebody know exactly what they want, and all I had to do was just make it happen, you know?
That's really impressive, and I think that's probably why that job has like a little bit of a layer of polish. You know, just having that guide with it, that's probably why it looks that way, which is really, really cool. Let's see, I got here. Got a few more that I want to roll.
I like when people know exactly what they want. That way there's nothing lost. You know, I don't do a job and go, and they go, "Well, I don't really like that." And it's like, well, you gave me, you know, free reign to do what I wanted. Now you're telling me you don't like it. But that doesn't really ever happen. People typically, if they're like, "Hey, just do what you think will look right." I have a pretty good eye for this stuff. I've done it, you know, a couple times. So I typically know what looks good. So that doesn't really ever happen, but
Jesus, I'm just looking at that BMW, the M blue right now. This is BMW blue, like OEM blue. That's nuts. It's that good, man. Really, really impressive here. Here's another that
I ride with Ebe all the time, and sometimes I forget that that's even a full carbon subframe unless it's in the light.
So this is how it looks after
I played this one already. I just wanna
tail section painted. This is the
Sorry, guys. Harley content.
Oh my God! Actually, I'm gonna play a frame here. Here's a red frame. It's Oh, sorry, it's the fender under the whole thing. So this one's a Harley. So it's not just fairing. Again, I'm playing this just so you could see, like, you know.
Keep in mind that last photo that you sent and this frame are to a motorcycle that showed up to me sandblasted, bare metal. I did that from sandblasted bare metal.
Dude, that's crazy, man.
Just take your time.
That's wild, man.
Can't make rap look like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, rap is definitely like a. I can't say it's a knockoff because I think that'd be unfair to say that, but it's completely different from paint. I do have some appreciation for rap because it gives you the opportunity to be able to go back to OEM. That's the one cool thing that I like. Yes, you protect your paint. You also get to go back to OEM.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's say somebody leased a truck for their business and they want to, you know, color change it or letter it. You can't paint that stuff. There is definitely a time and a place for wrap. And if you're somebody who gets bored of things fast, wrap is the way to go. I mean, it really is. It's a temporary medium, and it can be changed very easily. But if you have something, you know, like if you have a motorcycle that you're in love with and you know you want to change the color, you're not going to wrap it. If you plan on keeping something a different color, you're not going to wrap it. You're going to paint it. But if you're impulsive and get tired of things, wrap is the way to go.
I'm sorry. So 5UP is an idiot, man. He's always dropping some crazy comment. He put something here. I'm cringing seeing what gear my Street Fighter SP was cruising in. Oh my God, this guy, he won't let it go because I didn't ride his bike to 6th gear. Every time I got on it, he's still, oh my God.
Leave it to Steve.
Seriously, I'm reading the chat to just be ahead as we're going, right? So I have like the next thing queued, and I just bump into that. I'm like, oh, freaking guy here.
I skimmed over that quick and didn't know what he was talking about. Now that you explained it, now I get it.
Yeah. Do you want me to send? Do you want me to send you my Street Fighter, Steve? So, actually, you know what? That's actually a good trade. I'll send you my Street Fighter. You send me your Street Fighter. He's done a lot of work on his.
Steve can't leave anything alone.
Who, Steve?
Yes.
Nah,
Steve cannot leave anything alone.
He's a tinkerer.
Thankfully for him, he's a great mechanic and he can make things better by working on them where a lot of people can't.
Randy mentioned here he would like to get some work done from you, by the way. Randy's Reality. Saison mentioned here quality over quality. He truly cares about his craft. That's rare to see nowadays. Awesome, man. Much respect. Yeah, man. This is a lot of work, and I think this is why I think it's super interesting to bring somebody like this on, guys. Again, the motorcycling community is not just about racing or, you know, track days. It stems from so much. We're talking about someone that's super passionate. You know, he loves riding himself, but then he managed to combine riding and his passion for painting into one, which is something I think a lot of people strive to, because how many of us gets up every day to go to work to a 9 to 5, and then the bike is just like an escape. This is kind of like the perfect blend in my opinion, man. Right? Would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I'm mad at. I typically quit work at 6 o'clock at night, and I'm normally shutting my shop down, mad that I have to finish my day out, that my day is over. I'm excited to get up and go to work every day. I think the only thing I wish I had a commute. I walk back to my shop. It's 400 feet behind my house. And I'm like, man, just getting to listen to some music and like get ready for the day instead of just walking out there and starting. But it's better. It's better for me to be on my own property doing what I want than having somewhere where, you know, my shop could get broken into. I've had that happen. All my tools were stolen in, I think, 2015. It's better just to be on my own property.
Here's the other thing too. When you do your paint? Yeah, I mean, you don't clear coat right away. Of course, you let it dry. What's the time frame for that? After you've done your base or your main, I mean, depending on where you're starting on the project, what's the time frame between each section? Because I know clear coating is at the very end. If it's something that's bare bone where you have to sand it down, you do that. You do like a fine grit right above it, something like that.
Yeah, actually, with automotive paint, between rounds, as long as it's within 24 hours, like let's say I'll use that R1 that I'm doing for Manny right now as an example. I did the base color is white. It's a tri-stage white. So you put on a white base, a pearl coat, that can sit for 24 hours and you can paint on top of it. Like let's say that yellow number plate. I could have waited 24 hours after applying the white, then apply 24 hours later, apply the yellow, and it will stick without sanding it. But if you wait longer than 24 hours, they will not chemically adhere to each other, and you would have to sand that.
Wait, so there's a science to this. Oh,
You
shit.
basically have to be a chemist to be a painter. You have to read all the tech sheets and everything. There's so much to know. It's not very easy. If it was easy, I think a lot more people would do it.
Wow. So it's just it's somewhat wet and somewhat dry, right? Like right in between before you do the next step on it.
Yes. Yeah, it's you can touch it and it feels dry, but chemically it's not dry yet. It is not cured yet, is I guess the proper term to use. But there's other ways that you can, like, let's say, you start a project and you want to get the next step done, but you don't have in the next 24 hours, like let's say Friday at 3 o'clock, I wanted to lay a color down and I'm not going to get back to it till Monday. Well, there is things like clear base coat that you can spray over top of it and then sand it before you do the next layer, and your 24-hour window has just now been extended as long as you want it to. Because then it will mechanically adhere because you've sanded it. There's a lot of technical stuff behind doing this for a living. It's pretty crazy, actually.
Did you do
Stuff's forever changing.
Did you do an apprenticeship to get this, or it was just basically trial and error? Like you've done project, you've screwed things up, or you've done projects. Some of them are successful, and then with time, you get it more and more, and you start understanding, the painting aspect. Or did you have like an apprenticeship that you were under someone that was a master, and then you learned from them?
Well, I went to a technical school for this at age 16, but I actually started prior to that.
Okay.
I bought a 60 Impala from Atlanta, Georgia at 13 years old, and the whole car was restored, but they didn't repaint the dash, the steering column, and the steering wheel. And I have a painter that's a longtime friend of my father's, and he wasn't available to do it. It was like a couple months before he had an opportunity to do it. So I asked my dad to run me to go buy a spray gun and paint, and I actually did that job myself and sold that car rather than waiting, and that's actually what got me started in this. And then a couple years later, I went to a technical school to do this for like a collision repair school, and I've just never stopped.
No. This is very, very skillful, man. I mean, outside of the fact that, it looks good, but it looks like there's a lot of technical aspect of it to do it right and to do it where it looks OEM. Stop it. Oh my God, my dog just totally jumped on me. Hello, she's always has to be part of the stream to some degree. Seriously?
I just can't believe she doesn't have her squeaky toy still.
She has it, but... All right, say hello. You're done. All right. Yes, thank you. It was great. Thank you. You're the best.
But yeah, it's a very technical thing to do, especially for a profession. And a lot of people get into it. There's a kid in Cleveland that does all these like 70s style choppers, and he does some of the most beautiful airbrush work that you'll ever see. But he'll post videos of a tank and fenders that he just cleared, and it looks like he's never done it before. And I'm like, man, you're charging people $5,000 for a paint job, and that's how you're handing stuff back to them? Like, poor quality, looks cool, but poor quality.
It's possible he's a painter, but then not like like a car painter or a car or motorcycle painter. Because I've seen where people can airbrush it, could do a lot of those things also, but they can't. Like you said, there's a science behind, you know, doing clear coats, or even there's another clip that you have also I want to show. There's like one that it's kind of hard to, I don't know what you call this paint, but it's like very sparkly almost, and I'm sure that's difficult. Well, it's part of the mix, right?
Yeah, I actually don't know what photo you're specifically talking about, but
yeah, here it is. I got it here. 1 second here. There you go. This one. See that?
Yep, that is actually ground up, or like ground up glass is what makes that certain mica.
Is this for a Sportster? No, is it?
No, it's for a Dyna.
Dyna.
A Harley Dyna. But obviously, you know, people are like, oh, you only post photos of stuff that you've sanded and buffed. You see, I still have my paint suit on, my gun's still in my hand. That's straight out of the gun. And that's kind of what separates me from other people, is I can make stuff out of the gun look how people make things look sanded and buffed.
What's that process called? I've seen some people where they do an initial paint and then they do a light grit sanding on it and then re-go again.
When something's cleared?
No, not clear, like before clearing. Like, let's say if you have color on there, they do like a light, I guess if they're trying to go for a matte look almost.
Well, they make matte clears to do that. Some people will use a traditional style gloss clear and then they'll sand it to put like a grain in it and take some of the sheen out of it. I mean, people do all sorts of crazy stuff with paint that even I don't understand, actually. There's some airbrush artists that do some of the stuff that I'm just like blown away by. And I worked side by side with an airbrush artist for a year out of Cleveland that he's painted cars that have won the PPG Dream Car Award, and he's world renowned, but you can't even have a conversation with him because he's such a psychopath.
So this is how it looks.
He's that typical artist, you know, you can't even talk to because he's so weird. So Mike, your wife just put in the stream, Anna put in the stream, what is the craziest request you've ever had? I sent you a picture of a casket that myself and an airbrush artist painted.
Oh my God.
You should throw that up.
You know what?
That is the craziest request I've ever had.
Here, I'm going to put that up now. I thought it was a little dark. That's why I was like, I don't know if I should show a casket here.
It is a little dark, but it's kind of wild that they wanted essentially like a war memorial put on this person's casket. That is definitely the weirdest request ever. It was very strange having a casket in my shop for a week.
Is it with the dragon on top?
No, that is a hood.
Let me see if I have it here. I know I have it here.
I know I sent.
Oh, got it.
That's the most crazy thing that somebody's ever asked me to paint.
There we go.
Was a casket. Now, granted, I didn't do the airbrush work or the lettering or anything. That was all on my airbrush artist. But I had to change the color of the casket. He did his artwork, and then I cleared it and sand and buffed it. But that one was pretty strange.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts, man. I mean, it's cool. Definitely cool. I want my casket to be all black, or maybe Ducati red, probably.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make your casket like Ducati red for sure.
Oh man, I probably should have made that.
I bring up, you know, we're gonna blame that one on your wife. She asked the question and that was my answer. Now we're going down this dark path.
Yeah. That we don't want to go on that. I probably shouldn't have said that at all. That's just so terrible. Yeah, it's gonna make mine Ducati red. Very nice. I bet you Steve's probably gonna say some other shit too in the stream, or he's gonna call me later about me riding his bike not in the 6th gear.
I don't want to know if Steve has something to say right now. I don't want to know about weird requests for paint, because Steve will definitely have something weird to say.
Oh, Saison's asking if you have an Instagram page. She does have an Instagram page. I'm gonna link the Instagram page on the stream. Once we're done, I'll put all the links and stuff like that. You put, wow, that casket is crazy. Yeah, man, it's a lot of work to kind of do these things, and I think it's a little bit of a handful to actually hire somebody to just do all this stuff, man. So, by the way, guys, we are running about an hour and a half. I won't keep everybody too long. So thank you everybody else for tuning in tonight. If you're watching, definitely hit the thumbs up. If you're watching this later, you definitely want to hit the thumbs up as well. Definitely helps. And anything you want to throw on, Dave, before we get out of here for the night, so people can know where to find you and the kind of project that you do, and just basically the best course of action if they want to get any kind of work done.
Message me on Instagram is really, the easiest way. I'm also on Facebook under Davidmpiscione, which is obviously, I don't know if there's any other Davidmpisciones. I have a pretty uncommon last name. I'm typically on Instagram more at Davidmpiscione on Instagram. But yeah, just reach out, send me a DM. We can, swap phone numbers and figure something out. Really how I typically do it. It's all word of mouth right now. I'm not doing any marketing or anything. I'm a one-man shop, so I'm pretty busy as it is.
What's the turnaround time, by the way? If you're busy already, do you still take on project, or just, you schedule things out?
I typically schedule things out, but it depends on the severity of the project. if somebody wants me to do an antique car restoration, like, they can't drop that off same day. Like, you're gonna have to deal with my backlog like any other shop. But like, small motorcycle parts, stuff like that, I typically try to fit people in as quick as I possibly can, because who wants to wait for something?
Definitely agree, man. Yeah, guys, if you do have any questions, if you want to throw them up now, we can answer a couple before we call it a night. It is Sunday, and I'm sure you have a lot going on as well, Dave. So, by the way, your name is extremely Italian. You're Italian?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
You do look Irish, though.
Yeah. I don't know why I have slightly red hair, but yes, I was born with straight white hair and the lightest eyes ever. But yeah, I'm like 50% Italian.
All right, man. Anything you want to wrap up before we get out of here for the night? I'm going to give you the floor.
No, I just want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to come on here. It's pretty neat. There's a lot of people that are way more popular than me that are definitely willing to come on here. But, you took a more natural approach on something that you thought would be interesting. And I think that's pretty neat,
Yeah, man. I like I said, the platform is pretty much for everybody to share their story, at least they're passionate about motorcycling. It doesn't always have to be about us going hard, going ham in the street or anything like that. Whether somebody's a mechanic or an artist or a painter, I think it's a great platform to really kind of explore, all nooks and crannies about motorcycles and stuff. So I think, also, I'm really hoping this really drives a little bit of traffic towards your way, at least to highlight your talent, because this is something that's definitely really cool. And I think a lot of people will find value in this, whether they're watching this live or watching it later, or potentially seeing this later, because definitely anybody that rides, what we do when we get bikes. We customize them, and I think this
Absolutely.
It's a next level thing, really. Instead of getting carbon fiber and just slapping it on, you really can make it your own when you reach out to Dave.
Yeah, you really can. I'm boring and I like black motorcycles, and my bike all has exposed carbon that's just cleared. But I mean, maybe one day that'll change. Ebe always gives me a hard time because I only like black motorcycles, but maybe one day I'll buy a bike that's not just boring and black.
I'm actually really surprised that you didn't customize your bike at all.
I mean, there's not a whole lot stock on it, but it looks like it's an OEM bike.
No, not in that aspect. I'm talking about in terms of paint.
I like boring stuff. Which is crazy. Like, you would think that I would custom paint my own motorcycle and let that be a canvas that I would ride around and be like, hey, this is what I do for a living. Here's my bike. But I'm just that guy. Like, my black truck that I just sold, that was just a plain black truck. I could have custom painted that truck. I could have done exposed carbon work on it, done like an overlay on it, and had exposed carbon. And I like stuff that's plain and boring for some odd reason. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it's interesting that you don't do anything on your bikes or anything like that. I think a lot of time I've met people that does wrapping or other similar project, and they go completely overboard with their own bikes or cars and stuff like that. Specifically, I know someone that does bike stuff, and they sticker everything, and it's like maybe it starts really small, and then it becomes this thing where you just keep going and keep going and keep going, and it just becomes this abomination almost. And it's funny that you're the complete opposite.
See, part of me wants to be that guy and just paint my bike some crazy color, but then I have a saying in my head that I tell myself every time I do a project, especially for myself, that less is more.
100% agree.
Less is more.
I 100% agree. But here's the thing I almost forgot to mention, guys. I think this is going to be another thing that you should know. It's not just wheels, carbon fiber, and cars and everything else. He can do freaking helmets. You sent me a lid too. Also, let me just pull this up real quick. I have to show this before we go, guys. Hold on.
That's Eve's helmet that I did to match his HP4. Yes.
Dude, that is cool. I do have some question about that also just before we go. So I'm sorry. I'm just gonna hold you just for a little bit longer. Promise. That's terrible. Hold on. Let me just pull up that helmet because I'm like, that was really cool. You know, there's just so much you have, man. You know what? I'm just gonna pull up a couple of clips. I might as well show.
I mean, it's crazy. I've done cars for SEMA. I've done cars that have been in magazines in Europe. I've done all sorts of crazy stuff, but I just kind of sent you the stuff that I liked the most.
Let me see here. Hold on one second. Just want them to see this this helmet really. Take a look, guys. So I'm assuming you took that completely apart, right, to do the work on there?
Yes, that helmet was completely disassembled, and I did that. And then it was disassembled by Aeriel, and then I received the helmet, I painted it, and it went back to Aeriel, and they couldn't actually reassemble that helmet, and I figured out how to put the helmet back together just like it was from the factory, as if it wasn't taken apart. In like 45 minutes, they couldn't figure out how to put the gasket around the visor opening, and even I met up, and he was like, well, this is essentially for nothing because I can't use it anymore because they can't get the gasket on it, and I figured out how to do it.
How wild is that? And that was going to be the question I was going to ask also. Painting helmets are a little bit tricky only because you have to remove the guts out. You have to take everything out. You can't just cover around it and then paint it because
yeah, and at that point, you know, if you have somebody that doesn't know how to do it, it's a safety concern, because what's going to save your life in the event of an accident? A helmet. So, you know, that's why that helmet went back to Aeriel to be reassembled correctly. But once I did that, I was like, they're actually so simple that you can reassemble them as long as you're a competent individual and you take your time and pay attention to what you're doing. You can do it, and there's no adverse effects.
So that's a fiberglass shell, right? I've always been very nervous about painting helmets because I don't know where I got the idea. Maybe it's a myth. Maybe it's something that I summed up in my mind. I felt like maybe certain chemicals in some paint would compromise the shell. I don't know where I got it from. It could have been something I either heard from someone else. Is that true, actually? This is a very good thing to ask.
No. Structurally, a painted helmet is going to be no different than one that isn't painted. The only thing that really, compromises the structure of a helmet is a crash. So like if you've ever wrecked a bike and your helmet has scratches all down it and you smacked your head off the concrete, you're wearing a helmet that's junk. It's useless. It's not going to do nearly as much as if it didn't hit the road. So definitely use that as a lesson. If you have scratches all over your helmet, even if you dropped it from, you go to put it on, your hand slips off the strap and you drop it on the ground from 3 feet out, it needs to be replaced.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen where people drop them off their bike and they're like, oh, no, it's fine. So
it's not fine.
There's been there's a big debate regarding that, but I really wanted to bring up that helmet because I think those are a very interesting project, and I think those are potential for people to do work. Would someone take that apart themselves before they send it to you, or they send you the lid themselves, and then you do all the taking apart, and then you paint it and then put it back together?
I mean, I could do it either way. I would prefer to take it apart myself, or have them, I just want to make sure if somebody does want to do a helmet that it's disassembled correctly because it's a safety concern. Reassembling it is pretty simple. Like I said, as long as you're competent and you pay attention to what you're doing, you can reassemble them. It's not that hard. I'm fine doing it either way, just as long as I know that at the end of the day, when the helmet goes back on somebody's head, it's done right and they're safe.
So if someone were to decide that they want to get a lid done, right? For example, I have one of them here. Let me kind of hold this up right here. So something like this would not be, oops, wait, can you guys, actually, you know what? Let me just do this real quick. If someone was going to get something like this done.
Why would you want to paint that? That's beautiful.
No, well, come on, rack focus. And you got to do it. Very nice. There we go.
Yeah, beautiful helmet.
Actually, it's one of my favorite helmets.
Who's the manufacturer on that helmet?
That's a Bell Star. And also it has transition lens, so you could rock it at night or the daytime, it transition. So the reason why I was asking this is if somebody wanted to get something painted, do you recommend just getting like a plain flat black helmet or a plain flat white helmet, and then they can customize it? Absolutely,
yeah. Don't buy some graphic helmet because that actually makes more work for the painter to do it, to sand out all the depth of the graphics that are on it. So a plain helmet to start with is drastically easier to work with.
Okay. All right. I think this is definitely one project that I think I'm gonna probably beg you to kind of get done for me. I do like the Bell Stars a lot. And I'll just get like either a white or a black one and then get something done. Just do like a clutch first style, like branding. Maybe red, white, and black. That's the colors.
That and like one of your stickers on the back of your helmet would be really, really cool.
Or at the very top, like big enough where it's kind of like pretty much like on the top bleeding down. That'd be kind of cool, or something like that. That would be a really cool project. So at least for me.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, but you have a good logo, so it would definitely work. And it would be cool.
Yeah, man. So I think it'll be pretty cool. This is something that we're definitely gonna have to collab on. By the way, guys, if you tune in, you're watching this later, definitely hit that thumbs up. Always appreciate it. Helps with the algorithm, helps me keep bringing people on and make it worth their time. Again, we're gonna have Dave's link in the description afterwards. It's not there now, but I'm gonna go edit the stream and edit all the links and stuff, how you could reach him in an email address if you're looking to kind of get any kind of work done. And again, keep in mind, he feeds his family with this. Don't go lowballing or being some sketchy about it. You've seen his work, you've seen the effort, the amount of time it takes to produce something just like this. So just be fair. Would you say, Dave?
That would not be the first time. I've had people reach out and go, can I get this painted for this much? And it's like, I can't even buy the materials for that. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's expensive, unfortunately, but if it's something you want, it's worth it, It's like saying, oh, I don't want to buy a motorcycle because they're expensive. Okay, then don't buy a motorcycle.
That's true. Anyway, I'm going to give you the floor so you can kind of close up and let people know they can find you. And that's it. Kind of wrap it up. There you go. It's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dave Piscione. I'm a 39-year-old idiot that rides motorcycles. Been riding basically my whole entire life since I was 3. I paint cars and motorcycles for a living. I hang out with my 6-year-old son and, you know, just act like a mature child, I guess. If anybody needs any work, you know, reach out to me. I can send Mike over my email and he could put that in there also. But my Instagram is at Dave Piscione. I'm on Facebook also at Davidmpiscione. But yeah, I look forward to talking to people about projects, and we can figure something out if anybody wants anything done.
Yeah, man. Guys, thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to spend with us on a Sunday night. I know usually these take about an hour, hour and a half or so. Sometimes we're into 2 hours, but it's really appreciative that everyone come through and help us grow the channel and actually take part in this. Again, the platform is really to highlight, you know, motorcycles, pretty much overall anything that motorcycle related. So very, very excited when everybody come through, or at least repeating people coming through or sharing the content. Again, I won't keep you guys too long tonight, so we'll just call it a night. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Thanks, guys.